Welcome to the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jarvis Scott with What's Happening Birmingham. Today I have the honor and pleasure of being with Dr. Samantha Hill. She is a doctor here in the Birmingham community. One of my reasons for bringing her on today is this past week was National Condom Week.
Yes.
So I wanted to bring the doctor on to talk about this very important subject, and this actually is a two-part version. So we're doing one for the men and one for the women. So part one is the women. Doctor, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Jarvis, for having me on.
Great. Thank you for taking time out today. I want to talk about this very important topic, and I didn't want to put it all in one segment, so we kind of split it up. This is going to be very informative, and we're going to make this very entertaining, everyone. Very entertaining. So how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Great. I did not know that this was actually a National Condom Week.
Yes. National Condom Week is a great week to go out and spread information about just ways to have safer relationships, ways to get tested, places to go to get tested, and to use condoms. There are other weeks to look out for too, including National HIV Week, as well as National Black HIV Week. So just always be on the lookout, but it's always just a reminder, if anything, to get tested if you haven't already gotten tested when you hear about these things.
Okay. The doctor brought plenty of props for the men and the women.
I did.
First thing we're going to kind of start off with is just the female condoms now.
Sure. And so I hope most people are familiar with regular condom, which you see a variety here. In addition to regular condoms, which I always recommend that ladies carry with them because you never know if your partner is prepared or not, we also have female condoms that are available in the event that you want to be extra proactive and kind of get yourself ready if you anticipate having sex with anybody. And so let me show you the package. This is what a female condom package looks like. There's actually an expiration date on the side, just like there's an expiration date on your regular condoms. So you just want to check it to make sure it hasn't expired. But when you take it out, it's already lubricated, although of course you can always add extra lube. And you'll see that the female condom, it's going to have two rings. One ring is going to be on the inside, one ring is going to be on the outside. And basically, for those ladies that are used to using tampons, you kind of place this in just like a tampon. And so you would actually press the rings together, and we'll pretend that this is kind of like your vagina, and you stick it through, and it hits your cervix, and we'll pretend that we've actually got a vagina, and then it just kind of hangs out like that, and you're ready to go. So you can actually place this in an hour, however many hours ahead of time if you would like to use. So this is the female condom, and it just gives some women the added benefit of knowing that, you know what, in the event that my partner didn't bring a condom, I've got one and it's already inserted, so we can go ahead and go. And so it's pretty easy to use. There are always videos online as well.
Okay, first question that popped in my head. Can that thing get stuck?
So, can it get stuck? Theoretically, it can get stuck, but it really shouldn't get stuck. Again, you're placing it right at the tip of the cervix, and once you finish, it's easy to take out. All you do is twist it once, and just to make sure that the contents inside the condom don't splatter out, and then you just pull it out, and it comes right out. So, it doesn't really get stuck. And again, as I said, it's lubricated already.
All right. Now, are these masks widely distributed local?
So I think it depends on who you hang around. So there are certain communities in our country, at least, that are very familiar with these, whether that's regionally or maybe just different sexual practices. But then a lot of people do not know they exist. So my job is to let everybody know that female condoms do exist. You can get them from your health department. You can get it from the pharmacy. They're available.
Oh. So what's the typical cost, really, for purchasing one of those?
If you get it from the health department, it can be free. If you get it from if you go to a fair, it's usually free. Otherwise, they're a little bit more costly than the average condom. You could probably get a pack for about $10 to $15.
All right. So also, like with male condoms, female condoms, do like you said, expiration date?
Expiration date. Let's hold it up again in case people couldn't see.
Okay. And also, how, can this be poked holes through?
Right. So that's a great point. Just like with any condom, whether it's a female condom or a male condom, you want to make sure before you put it in that you check to make sure it doesn't have any tears, any rips, as well as use, if you're adding extra lubricant, water-based lubricant's ideal because it doesn't increase the tears and the friction that could make your condom not as effective as you thought it would be.
All right, so we got that out the way. Let's slide over to birth control, because there can be some myths in our community that, get birth control, that protects from getting pregnant, but it does not protect you from getting a sexually transmitted disease, or what they call STI.
Right. I mean, Jarvis, you're exactly right. Birth control, if you're using it as it's been prescribed to you, it's very effective at keeping you from getting pregnant. It has no protection whatsoever against gonorrhea, chlamydia, syphilis, HIV, trichomonas. There's about 60 STDs actually, although we only worry about a few. So no protection against any kind of infection. The goal of birth control is really to keep you from getting pregnant.
So what's the difference between, I mentioned sexually transmitted disease, but sexually transmitted infections?
So the reality is there's not really a difference. That's the easiest way to think. It's just that we changed the terminology at some point about 10 years ago, just to be more comprehensive of the fact that some of these infections cause just an infection, and some of these infections can be associated with other signs and symptoms that are more disease-like. But STD, STI, they're really the same thing. They're really talking about the same set of infections.
All right, well, moving on. Of course, that's for vaginal sex, but oral sex. Right. What are the dangers for women, getting oral sex? Because a lot of them say, well, he's not using his penis, he's using his mouth. But, I'm going to let you kind of...
So oral sex, there's still danger in getting infections from oral sex. When we think about risks for getting an infection sexually, we do think about being the recipient of someone doing anal intercourse as the highest, but that doesn't mean that you can't get it with oral sex, you can't get it with vaginal sex. Sex can transmit infections, and so we do have ways to prevent you from getting an STD if you're participating in oral sex. And this right here is called Dental Dam. It's another sheet of latex, so it's latex like your female condom, like your male condoms. It just happens to be a rectangle. Usually you can get them to be flavored, and you could place them over, some people like to say the anus or the butthole, or you could place it over your mouth, and you guys can have fun, have at it. But it's really easy. These are also really cheap. Usually, again, you can get these from the health fairs or from the health department or from your local pharmacy as well.
All right. Now, this just popped in my head. I told you all this is going to be very informative. Nothing's going to be left off the table. We're going to talk about everything. So let's just say, because I know you've heard stories, people doing more extracurricular things and how dangerous that is. Whether it's urination and the other thing, the number twos, the dangers of that, because that's bacteria, correct?
Right. And so, when we think about sex, whether it's oral, anal, vaginal, you think about your traditional sexually transmitted infections. But anytime you're participating in, if you're urinating on someone, if you're pooping on someone, you have other risks, other types of bacterial infections outside of the typical STDs. And I mean, that's a host of different bugs, for lack of a better term. And so it's really, if that's your thing, my advice to you is to be safe, to make sure that you have a local healthcare provider that you can go and see, and that you know your body and are aware of things change for those types of things. The caveat is, please remember that a lot of STDs don't have signs of you being infected, and so it's really important to make sure you have regular testing frequency.
So even, moving on, like we were just saying, that, even ejaculation fluid, seminal fluid, that's dangerous swallowing that.
Right. It's really dangerous swallowing that. It's whether you have pre-cum or pre-ejaculate, whichever phrase you like. There's the potential to have risk for STIs. There's the potential to have risk for pregnancy. I will say this in case someone's thinking it. No, if you have pre-cum in your mouth, you will not get pregnant from that. But again, you're still exposing yourself to the risk of the sexually transmitted infections from that. Does that make sense?
All right. So now that we got informed on different parts of protection, how should a woman approach her partner about, even talking about, hey, I think we should go get tested? How should couples kind of introduce that topic?
Yeah, and I have this conversation with my patients that are female as well as male. It really starts with yourself. You have to love yourself and care about your own health and well-being first, because without that step, you're not going to be able to convince yourself the importance of having that conversation. And so make the decision that you care about yourself today if you haven't already done that. And then what I usually recommend is just having a conversation. A lot of people will have it after they've had sex with someone, and I get that. Sometimes we get caught up in stuff, but the idea is to have the conversation and just sit down. And, however you like to flow in your conversations, the key points to hit on are, hey, when was the last time you were tested for a sexually transmitted infection or an STD? You also want to know when the last time they had sex was, because if they had sex the day before they had sex with you, but they were last tested a month before, then technically they haven't really been tested prior to having sex with you because they've had other partners. So you just kind of want to understand that timing. You also kind of want to know, like, hey, is this something where we would be cool if we got pregnant, right? Because I would suppose that the guy and the girl want to know, like, are you on birth control or not? Should we use a condom? Do we want to use a condom? And just whatever your goals are for the relationship, establish boundaries. I find a lot of I work mostly with teens and young adults, and a lot of them, they might be with someone that they love, but they haven't established boundaries, and they find themselves in situations where maybe things are a little bit more violent than they would like, or where their partner isn't getting the recommended testings, and then they feel like their health is being jeopardized. And so having conversations about testing, pregnancy, and understanding consent is really important.
All right. Another thing I was thinking about while you was mentioning that, the dangers of, oral sex. Sometimes a lot of people like to, I use the term, outlaw it a little more.
Okay.
And I mean by outlaw is like, say for instance, and I guess speaking from a guy, but makes me a woman.
Right.
Like, well, I still want to have sex while I'm on my period.
Gotcha.
It's dangerous even with that because blood and, all that.
So that's can be more of a sanitation issue. And
right.
So, what I would tell you is if that's your preference, that's your preference. Does it increase your risk of getting an infection? The data is kind of mixed on that. But what it really boils down to is whether you're outlawing, because that's a new term that I didn't know, whether you're outlawing or not. The idea is, did you get tested before you had this experience, and are you getting tested after this experience?
Outlaw. That's a new term, outlawing.
I learn stuff every day.
So, now moving on now, we're going to do this later on. But can you please tell these people about putting outside objects and fruit and all this other stuff out? That could,
Yeah. I think the biggest, definitely have fun. Sex is meant to be enjoyable, pleasurable. Definitely have fun. Please know what you're doing. There are adults that are probably watching this that might not know the actual anatomy of a male or female, depending on who your partner is. And you might be thinking you're sticking something into the vagina, and you might have missed the mark. You might be thinking you're sticking something in the anus, and you might actually have extended it into like the colon or the lower parts of the colon and things. So it's really more so about knowing your anatomy before you start experimenting with things that have the potential to do serious damage in the event that you insert it into the wrong area or insert it too far.
Because even when it ain't no sex, you stick the finger, that bust a blood vessel.
If you don't know what you're doing, yeah.
All right. So we're going to move on to, now that we had this discussion with the partner, that we're going to go get tested. So what should we do? What are there parameters as far as like, should we have sexual activity the night before or?
Oh, awesome question. Awesome question. Right. So, if you're going to get tested, try to give it at least a week since you last had sex. For some people, that might be easier said than done. But you ideally, if you did have sex the day before, just know that you're probably going to need to get retested, especially for things like HIV, sooner rather than later, because the testing that you're getting is not going to be able to tell you about 24 hours prior. And so one thing that I always say is know the area that you live in. When I talk to people across the country, I talk about know what sexually transmitted infections are in your area. I'm going to say this for everybody from Birmingham, everything is here. And so, we are high risk for gonorrhea, we are high risk for chlamydia, we are high risk for syphilis, and that includes women as well. We're high risk for HIV. We are high risk for trichomonas as well. And so if you've heard some of those words or if you haven't, just understand that those infections are actually pretty common in our community. Common doesn't mean that 1 out of 5 of us have it. Common means, though, that there is a higher number of people that get these infections at any one point in time than would be anticipated.
And this is no longer segmented to one particular community, because a lot of times, a lot of people always say, well, as long as it's just in the gay and lesbian community, but no, it's in every, both.
Very, very true, Jarvis. So it doesn't matter your sexuality. Yes, there's still some different communities that might have a slightly higher risk than others, but what people need to understand is that people are sexually fluid now. So I might think, I'm going to use you, Jarvis, I apologize, but I might think that Jarvis is only into women and that he's a heterosexual male, but he actually might every once in a while dip into men. And so that brings in a different kind of risk. Or Jarvis might think that, you know what, we're only together, but I'm having sex with other men and women as well. And so there are people in the community that go both ways.
Play both teams.
Or they play both teams. And it's not to actually stigmatize people that play both teams. It's more so about making sure that with whoever you have sex with, you get tested. Because my risk for getting an infection is not based on me. It's based on who I'm sleeping with. And so hopefully my partner has gotten tested, regardless of if I'm his only partner or if he's got 20 other partners. Regardless of the sex of the partner.
Can we go back to another myth too, just about smell and vaginal smell, that doesn't, indicate whether that person is clean or not?
Right, yeah. So the bottom line is you cannot tell who has a sexually transmitted infection. You can't. There's no way to tell. The smell doesn't matter. The beautiful clothes, they don't matter. The only way you can know is if someone walks up to you and shows you the most recent STD testing that they've gotten that says that they're negative. That's really the only way you can tell. So
we go get tested. Mm-hmm. We got some. What do we do next?
So you go get tested. You have something. And I'm going to give the examples for more of the common STDs, and then I'm going to give an example for HIV because it's going to be something slightly different. For gonorrhea, chlamydia, trichomonas, even syphilis, they'll treat you. Or even if they feel like you might have an infection, but the tests haven't come back, if your story sounds compelling, they'll actually treat you, usually then and there. It'll probably either be a shot and or a pill, depending on what infection you have. For syphilis, if you unfortunately get syphilis, you will be seeing a provider a lot of times because they just want to make sure the infection is actually going away. That infection, sometimes it takes a couple of treatments to actually improve. And then for HIV, if you get tested and it says that you have a positive HIV test, they'll call you back in and they're going to talk to you because they're going to try to make sure that they can confirm that it's an actual positive and not a false positive. Once they confirm it's a true positive, they'll tell you about how to go about getting medicine. And I actually treat people with HIV every day. So, and so it really is treatment is based on the type of infection you have.
So, I just want to go back for a moment. So, while we're getting tested, we cannot resume sexual activity.
That's an awesome question. Right. So while you're getting tested, I would not have another sexual partner until you know your test results. If you get told that you have an STD and you get treated, still give it at least a week before you go back to your regular sexual activities.
Because a lot of people think that's just like a free pass. Like, oh, okay, well, I can clean, whatever the case may be. Or, I know, we talking about everything there, y'all. If she got it, I got it, we can't infect each other anymore. Some people think with that logic,
Yeah, let's talk about that. Don't have that logic. I see a lot of young people where they both say they're in a monogamous relationship, and we test both of them. One of them has something and the other one doesn't. So don't assume that just because you have something that your partner has it too. We would like for it to be that way, but no worries. We would like for it to be that way, but it's not always that way. And so if you truly are positive, just be patient, hold out, and then resume your sexual activity when your doctor tells you you can.
Okay, all right. Let's go back to birth control. Since we kind of went over there. So this day and age, how preventable is birth control
for pregnancy?
For pregnancy.
Right. Oh, I wish I had brought my lovely visual aid. But so there are a lot of different types of birth control. The biggest thing to understand is that it really depends on how well you, that woman, are using your birth control. Because with perfect use of birth control, the methods are 96 to 100% effective. That's with perfect use. Right. Perfect use. Okay. None of us, including myself, are perfect users of any kind of medicine. Mm-hmm. And so the most effective birth controls in general are going to be things that you don't have to think about on a daily basis. So that's going to be an IUD, which goes into your uterus, or an implant that goes into your arm. Those are the most effective types of reversible birth control, meaning you can take them out and get pregnant once you take them out.
Is also the thing that also goes between the ladies, kind of like
the ring.
The ring.
So let's talk about the ring. So we said IUD and implant are the most effective because you don't have to think about them. They stand for a few years, 3 to 5 years, 3 to 10 years. The ring, which actually, not to use the female condom, but it really is like a ring that's a little bit thicker than this that you place just like a tampon. The ring, the birth control pills, the birth control patch, and the injection that you get every 3 months, those are all similarly effective. But again, because you have to remember to do something every day, every week, every month, or every 3 months, they are less effective than the IUD or implant, meaning that if you have 100 women, maybe about 8 out of those 100 women will become pregnant using that pill, that patch, that ring, that shot, as opposed to less than 1 out of 100 women using an IUD or an implant.
Finally, I know why we skipped over this, but we need to go back because we're going to say this to the fellas. Pull out.
Yeah, man. Pull out is like
pull out game.
Pull out. So on that same diet, that pull out, anywhere from like 20 to 30 people per 100 people could get pregnant. So your pull out game, I don't care if it's tight, as many people believe. The pull-out game doesn't quite work because, again, you still might have pre-ejaculate, pre-cum coming out of there. And that could be enough to transmit an infection. That could be enough to get someone pregnant. So that pull-out game, no. I wouldn't recommend that.
All right. Any final thoughts? I know we covered a lot. You want to tell the public?
Yeah. My biggest advice to everybody is know your own risks and statuses. So everybody should know their HIV status. You don't know your HIV status if you have never been tested. And that's the reality. It's not something where you're like, I feel great. I don't look like people that have HIV. If you have never been tested for HIV, you don't know their HIV status. As someone who works with high schoolers that found out they have HIV positive, get tested. As far as your risks for getting any kind of infection, it's really about knowing who you're with, right? And so it's about having that conversation and being like, hey, what is this? Are we just hanging out? Are we cool? Like, are we in an open relationship? Are we not in a relationship? If that's the case, there's nothing wrong with that. But understand that, this person might be having sex with multiple people. And so your risk is now not him or her, but the other people as well that they're having sex with.
Because people talk about everything. We talk about finances, life goals, but nobody wants to talk about your health.
Nobody talks about stuff. I would say sex and mental health are really the biggest taboo topics in this country. And we don't talk about it. Mm-hmm. And we assume people learn it. And they do, but they don't necessarily always learn the ways to be safe. And again, if you're having safe sex, that really increases your pleasure, right? Because you're not worried about, am I going to get pregnant? Am I going to get this STD? Yeah. You're good. You can have fun with whoever, however many people, but you gotta have safe sex.
All right. Right before we end, as far as like cost, does that vary as far as like, you can go to the health department, is the cost involved getting tested, treated, or some plans?
So if you ever go to like a health fair and they're testing you, most of those places will test you for HIV only, first off. So know what you're getting tested for. That'll be free. If you do not have any form of insurance, the health department is going to be your best bet to get tested because they can either do it for free or for a very low cost. Likewise, if you are a teenager and you feel like your parents don't know that you're having sex, you can go to the health department because they can do it without it being run on your parents' insurance, which is a whole separate topic. Otherwise, for those people that have insurance, usually the cost is going to be a fee to see that person, that doctor or that nurse practitioner, and then you get like a bill for lab costs. But again, your insurance pays for most of that, and so you might see, depending on your copay, a $20 or $40 copay for it. But the key is know what they're testing, right? So if they just swabbed your cheek, they probably just tested you for HIV. You need to be specific and ask them, are you testing me for HIV, gonorrhea, chlamydia, trichomonas, and syphilis? Or what are you testing me for?
So if they would like to get in contact with you,
sure,
what's the best way?
So the easiest way to contact me is either through my phone number. That's going to be 205-638-5200. Or you can always shoot me an email at Samantha, that's SAMANTHA .HILL.MED@gmail.com. So that's samantha.hill.med@gmail.com.
All right, well, Dr. Hill, thank you for this very informative and, sometimes entertaining, but we want to make sure we didn't leave none on the table, and part 2 is coming up next with the fellas, so guys, stick around.
And ladies, watch it too, because we're going to cover stuff that you need to know as well.
Yes, so please stay tuned for part 2. That's going to come up next. And thank you all again, and check out what'shappeningbirmingham.com for more videos, or subscribe to my YouTube channel as well, because I need 1,000 subscribers, y'all. Keep on going. Thank you for the support and love. Thank y'all again, and see you next time for part 2. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast. Please check out our website, app, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest videos today.